Welcome to the Startups Without Borders podcast. I'm Valentina Primo, and I'm the founder of this platform, this community, and this movement for entrepreneurs who are starting new ventures while starting new lives. Each week, we'll be sharing inspiring interviews with the most audacious startup founders while highlighting resources for anyone starting up. Gear up to get some real-life advice. You're listening to the Startups Without Borders podcast, episode 27. Irma Rodriguez had a great job in Mexico, working for one of the biggest banks for medium and large corporations. But at some point, the situation in her home country became too much of a risk for her family. As she moved to Milan, Irma faced a myriad difficulties to set up a business and effectively sell. Today, all these difficulties are the basis of her consultancy business, Emigrar y emprender, where she advises over 5,000 entrepreneurs on starting up in Italy. In this episode, Irma shares 5 things you should know about starting a business in Europe as a migrant. Get your pen and paper and take note. Hi, Irma. Thank you so much for joining the Startups Without Borders podcast.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I really feel very honored. Thank you, Valentina.
I'm super excited to hear your story from Mexico to Italy to supporting now migrant entrepreneurs to launch businesses in Europe. Tell us a little bit about that first time you went to Italy. What happened that made you decide to move there?
I met my husband in Rome 15 years ago, but I came back to Mexico. He was living in Israel, but he came with me at that time. So we lived 8 years in Mexico and we were very happy. But at the end of these 8 years, he told me, everyone thinks that Israel is in war, but the truth is that your country is in war. That the whole life is like, you just have to live. But there was a crisis about security. In fact, it is said that there was a war against the narcos. So yes, everyone has a life doing what they used to do, but all immersed in this situation of crisis of security. You didn't feel safe.
Right.
So at the end, when he began to tell me all this stuff about the crime and my city began to have these blocks of the city, lockdowns of the city, and you just get used to it. I mean, you were working, and in the notice and the news, you used to hear, there's a lockdown of the city right now, so please go to your house. And everyone was like, okay, I'm going to work to my house, and that's it. I mean, there's no problem, and you just get used to.
Yeah.
But when we had our 2 kids, our small kids, I just began to feel like I cannot go out with them. Never, ever. I mean, ever. I cannot go into the park. I like to run, not that much, but I like to run. But I couldn't go alone at the 6 a.m. to run alone as a lady. So there was a whole stuff that it is not that nice. You just get used to.
Yeah.
But at the end, we decided to come to Italy because at the end we met in Rome. Everything is beautiful in Rome. And we decided to move to Italy. But I decided to open a business. And when I made a marketing research, it was in Rome, the perfect city. It was Milan.
Right.
And that's why we moved to the north of the country.
Right. Now, for those who don't know us personally, Irma and I met actually in Italy, in Milano, as 2 entrepreneurs. We interviewed each other and we find so much common ground as 2 Latin women starting a business there, right? And I remember your first words. You were so driven. You were so passionate. I wanted to know what were the first steps that you took and what were the biggest challenges that you faced when launching that business?
I think it's being alone, because I knew and I know I like so much to sell. I mean, selling is serving, and that's clear in my mind. I love to serve. I love to sell.
Right.
So since I was a very good salesperson in Mexico, salesperson, I thought it was going to be the same in Italy. So I arrived here and I began to sell my own products in the Mexican way. in the way that works in Mexico, that works in USA also.
Right.
So when I began to sell like that, it was like nobody wanted to buy from me because they didn't know me. They didn't know me. And in Italy, if people don't know you, they don't buy you. Right. And it's the same all around the world. I mean, it's the same all around the world. Relationships are business. But here is more, it's tougher. Because in Mexico, if you have some cheap stuff, you'll sell. That's it. Price is everything in Mexico. But in here is relationships. Who you are, who knows you. And if you don't know anyone in Italy, it's like you cannot sell that easy. Obviously you can. I did it. But it's not that easy. It's like the movie, all these movies from Italy, no? El Padrino.
Yeah.
Padrino.
Yeah.
It's like everyone looked this movie like, yes, Italian. But when you arrive in here, you began to understand that it is like that. In business, it is like that. You have to make a family. Wow. And if you are not part of that family, it's going to be difficult.
Right. Here's where we say networking is not just a buzzword, right? Networking is super, super important. So how did you build that network? How did you start getting to know people and getting them to know you?
I began to my work since I was alone. I used to make a lot of phone calls for selling, cold phone calls.
Yeah.
And when they respond to the phones, I said, we need to meet. And I was always like that. And I made the excuse, since I don't speak Italian that well, maybe it's better if we meet in person. I speak Italian at that time, but not that perfect. But that was my excuse. We are international business. I am the commercial right now, and my Italian is not that great. Can we meet in person? Because at the first instance, they don't want to have appointments. They don't like to, obviously. But if they see that you maybe don't speak that well Italian, but you have a great product, because at the end it's all about the product that you're offering, they give you a chance. So when I began to have this first, third, interview, I began to say, I went already with the other company. So they already in their mind knew that I knew the competitors.
Right.
So they were more like, so tell me about your products. It was like a strategy. And yes, it worked. I began to know people. I began to go into the Camera di Comercio,
the Chamber of Commerce
events. There's a lot of events in the Chamber of Commerce for free, just for getting information about X, even about stuff that I really didn't understand. I just began to see the people. know?
Yeah.
And I began to know faces, to know names, not necessarily to sell, because in that kind of events, you don't go to speak with people. In fact, everyone goes 1 hour left running. So I just began to meet faces and let them also see my face too. So I was beginning to make a network.
Right. That's very interesting. I mean, and what you just said, knowing your customer very well and knowing their competitors as well, right? That takes some research, that takes some time, that takes some effort and strategic thinking, particularly.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of strategy, we wanted to discuss this idea of 5 key things that everyone should know, that every entrepreneur should know before starting a business in Europe. What would you say are those key things that they should be ready for?
I think that everyone should know the new market. I mean, you have to know, how do they buy? Where do they buy? How do they present themselves? I mean, this was very new for me. When I used to go for the first interviews to sell my products, I sell products, because I sell industry products, and that was it. But when in this company, I also bought some Italian products. So I began to see how the Italians sells. And the Italians is all about feelings.
Wow.
It's not about products. It's about imagine yourself touching this piece of textile. And it was like, my gosh, he's telling me a textile with the senses.
Yeah.
And that was new for me, because I was just selling my products, obviously very clear, very objective, and I had results. When I apply this thing of, imagine that you have a perfect production with my product, it was like, I just got it. So yes, you have to know the new market. How do they sell? Why do they sell? That's my first stop. The second would be, obviously, if you know them, focus in them. One of the main mistakes I see, because I coach some Latin American immigrants who wants to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And one of the main mistakes that they do is that they want to sell their things, their own things, typical stuff in the new market.
Yeah.
And it's like, the most typical is woman from Latin America, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, whichever country, Latin America. They want to bring food, clothes, but native clothes, typical clothes, and handcraft. So I always told them, okay, if you're Mexican and you want to bring some typical wearing, think about how many Italian ladies would like to dress like a Mexican native.
Right.
Okay, let's make a number. No, just think about a number. Okay, now you got it. Now think about how many Mexican ladies would like to dress like a modern Italian woman. That's it. Make a number. Begin to things. But that's the second point. Focus on them, because we try so hard to sell our things, and they really don't want it, or they want it but in another way. No. The third point will be make a network with locals, and if this network is they are entrepreneurs just like you are, it will be the better. Obviously, it's not that easy, at least in Italy. Mm-hmm. It's not that easy in Italy to get to know people that fast as in Latin American. I mean, just as you said, when we met, we talked like for hours. If I met an Italian lady, it's not that easy to speak with for hours. To say, hey, let's take a coffee. It's not that easy. You can do it. Obviously, you can do it, but not in the first time, not in the second time. It takes time. So focus on the new market, no?
I'm curious to know, what was the product that you were selling at the time?
Industrial packaging, flexible packaging is the word from China. It's packaging, but it's very industrialized. It's an industrial product.
Right. So what's point number 3?
The number 3 is make a network with locals. If they are entrepreneurs just like you are, it will be the better, because they will tell you they will tell you all the things that people don't tell you. When you begin to have a business, obviously you search a lot in internet, or you go into these events of the Chamber of Commerce. But that's like all the rules, good rules for saying. But when you know the people, they tell you, I don't know if you can do also this and this and this and this, and you grow, no? So it's very important to know locals who know more. I mean, they know more than you know. So meet people with the knowledge that you're looking for. That's very, very important.
Right. What's the 4th tip?
The 4th will be attention to the laws and attention to the taxes, because it's different. I mean, in Latin America, we are very used to the black market. Yeah. If I don't have a job right now, I can make some beautiful cakes and go outside my home and sell it just in the street. Yes, we work like that, just in the street. People trust that they are clean. Yeah. I mean, it's like that. It's about trust in Mexico, in Latin America. Yeah. But in here, it's about rules. It's not about trust. So you have to respect the rules. And if you want to make a business, you have to know how to do it, because you can do it also. I can make cakes and I can sell them to my friends, but I have to do it according to the rules. It is possible, but you have to know how to do it. Yeah, you can do it. You also can do it, but just do it in the right way. I mean, in the way that you have to do it in the country that you live right now.
Right. We see the same thing happening in the Middle East, where there's, the black market is huge. So you're not used to getting receipts for things. You're not used to registering first, right? That's an afterthought. And that happens once the business has grown a little bit. So what you're saying is in Europe, you need to think about regulation first before you even start. Is that expensive?
Exactly.
Is it expensive to start a business and register it and follow all the regulations tax-wise?
No. In fact, in the European Union, there are some rules that are the same all over the countries, the countries that are part of the European Union. So, for example, in Italy, in Germany, in Spain, they have like a minimum. I don't know. I wouldn't know the name for this in all the countries, but you can make a business in the minimum without even have a person to have your numbers. You can do it by yourself. In Italy, the name is ritenuta da conto. That's the name in Italy. But in all countries, you can do the same. In Latin America, it exists also the same. You can do things and give just a receipt, but not taxable. I mean, just a receipt in a piece of paper, and that's it. Right. In Italy and in the other countries, it exists the same. You just have to know this, because people don't know it and do it without any permission and any regulation. And if you know that you can make a receipt, you can begin to have this entrepreneurial mindset. And you can begin to do the things in the right way. And nobody will say, she's doing something in the black market. No, you can say, no, I'm not in the black market. I am in the minimum possible taxable way.
Right.
It is possible.
That's very important to know. I know that in Italy, there's this places called CAF where you can go and get tax advice, right?
Yeah.
So that's something
exactly.
That's something useful for entrepreneurs who may find themselves in Italy right now, to know that there are ways in which you can get, accountancy advice and information, and it doesn't require having a lot of capital to start. What's the fifth tip of advice? I'm curious to know.
Don't resist to the changes. Even in the personal life and in the business life, it's the same. Don't resist to the changes, to the new things. The faster you improve, the faster you learn, the faster you will get money. Sometimes we are so in love with the idea of bringing our typical stuff from our country to Italy or to Germany or to Denmark. But the truth is that they even don't want it. So the faster you make the exercise of knowing them, knowing what your market want, knowing what can you do for them, the faster you will have a business. So don't resist to the changes. If you want to have a business, maybe you want to have something cultural, because I know a lot of Mexican, Argentinians, Uruguayan girls who has an association for culture that is for free. And I love it. I've been part of it too. And I love it. But if you want a business, you have to begin to think about the local market. What do they want? And what can you do for them?
Right. I love what you said earlier, that selling is giving value, right? And concentrating on that value is key for any entrepreneur going into business. Thank you for these tips. They're super, super useful. You, aside from your own business, you do imports and exports, but you also have a YouTube channel where you give information and you give tips, and you actually coach other migrant entrepreneurs who want to start a business in Italy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the name is Emigrar y emprender, which is in Spanish also.
Yeah.
And that channel, I opened it when I felt very lonely. And when I began to know these people that I really needed to know. I mean, I began to meet some immigrants, Latin American immigrants with success. So when I met them and I asked them, how you do it? Because I needed to know the answer. It's just like, what are you doing right now? You want the answer, but I wanted also, like you do, to tell it to all the people, because I knew that someone just like me was looking for the answer to. So I make this YouTube channel, and I began making interviews to Latin American immigrants all over the world, not just in Italy, about being an immigrant and having a business and having success. So I began this channel with a lot of love to share this information, because I believe it is possible. A lot of people told me that it wasn't possible to have a business and import stuff from China. And yes, I did. The people who told me that it wasn't possible was the people that never had done it before.
Right.
But when I met people that has done it before, I knew that it was totally reliable to do it. So yes, it is possible. The more people you know that has made the things that you want to do, it's more likely that you'll do it. Right. So yes, that's why I began the channel.
That's amazing. And I mean, you've amassed 5,000 followers only on YouTube. You have other channels as well. Why do you think creating content is so important? Other than the coaching itself, why do you create content, and how do you plan that content? I see a lot of videos coming up while you're traveling, while you're at the airport, a lot of reflections, which are super interesting. So how do you plan that kind of content?
You know, I just, I would love to work more about the planning stuff. But the truth is that my YouTube channel, I do it with love to share. My job is another one, who is coaching people, selling logistic. Right now, I sell logistic in Europe. So I just make a video of the things that I'm living. I mean, I feel that this works. So suddenly I take the camera, the mobile, and I just I make a video because I don't have that many time to make the edition. And the more I think about the edition thing, because I am not visual at all, at all, I'm just commercial. The more I think that, oh no, I'm going to do this editing and it's going to be so hard, it's just like, come on, take the video, take the mobile, make a video, that's it. Ciao. Yeah. Obviously, I try to do some little stuff about the editing, but as you do, and I love to follow this guy Gary V. Yeah, yeah. He said, just make a film. That's it. Don't be so complicated. Yeah. So yes, what is important is what you said. Is know how you do it, how you edit it. If it has something interesting, someone will say, I like this girl. I like what she said. I would like to follow you, no? Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, we're both fans, super fans of Gary Vee. And I think one of the biggest lessons that he's taught me is document whatever you're doing. You don't need to create content specifically, but document as you go. And this is what I see in you, what I see you doing every time you travel. Which reminds me of another question that I wanted to ask you. You travel a lot. You have a very non-orthodox lifestyle, right? You go camping, you go on tours while running your business, while doing everything. You recently did a whole pilgrimage walk to Assisi. Where do you get that inspiration and those models to know that it is possible to basically chase dreams that are not only related to the business, but also to your life? You know, I think I like to feel like I am a tourist. Mm-hmm. I love to feel that. And when you're immigrant, it's easier. Yeah. I mean, you can always knew some place that you didn't know. But the fact that you know that you're tourist, and in my case that maybe I'm living in Italy, it's like, I have to go right now, because maybe tomorrow I'm going back to Mexico. Yeah. You never know. Yeah. So the fact of knowing that I am an internal tourist in the right way, I mean, I don't like to go just to the hellos of the city and get the picture. In fact, I don't understand. I don't like that. It's just about feeling the atmospheres, no? Yeah. About traveling, about walking, making a tour walking. That's amazing. This tour I made in Italy, walking is like, you don't need that much money.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't need money because I used to camp by myself. So, yeah, it's just I had the time because in this pandemic, you have time to do it. So if you don't have money, go to camp. That's no problem. It's just about changing because maybe some people don't like to camping. I am also not that fan of camping and not taking a wash for saying, but I rather to make a great trip, having great stories to say to myself, to my kids. Yeah. In fact, the things that I told them in the night to sleep them, I don't read that book.
Yeah.
I remember the things that I did when I used to travel.
Oh,
and
wow.
They know my adventures about traveling. And that's great. I have my own book to write, not my own adventures. I like to see the life like an eternal adventure.
I love that. And one last question, Irma. When we met, you were going through an incubator program, the Singa Incubation Lab, which they're our partners. They are amazing. Would you advise other migrant entrepreneurs to go through an incubation program, even those that don't have a tech project, for example?
Absolutely, yes. Because it's the same. When you work with them, you began to understand how do they think. And if your business is in the country you are living right now, make network with them. So yes, seeing some other 1,000 of incubators, just like you have your own platform for immigrants, it's great. I mean, you have this network to meet new people, new ideas. The group of the biggest and the more interesting the group of people is, the bigger is going to be your own mind too. So get in touch with brilliant minds.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to end the interview. Thank you so much, Irma. It was such a pleasure to speak to you in the podcast. And we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Valentina.
Thank you. Have a great day. At Startups Without Borders, we've tested lots of marketing tools. But email is my favorite. It's the only tool that allows me to talk directly to our community of entrepreneurs. So how do I attract new subscribers? It all starts with an email marketing tool. I personally use MailerLite. In MailerLite, you can easily build lead generation landing pages. I know, it feels I'm talking Chinese, right? Landing pages allow you to establish contact points to create as many leads for your business as you can. MailerLite has pre-designed templates that you can customize in the drag-and-drop editor. It's simple, super cool, and captivating. If you want to try MailerLite, click on our special link in the episode notes, create a free account, and get all premium features for an entire month. You like what you hear? You should definitely follow us on your favorite platform. So next time you're on Instagram or Facebook, type Startups Without Borders and check out all the videos, the stories, and the resources for you to become a legend.